This is not your typical Wisdom on the Front Porch podcast. This is a warning. There may be triggers in this podcast. Please have steps in place to address the triggers as they show up.
I just know whenever I talk, like I heard about you, I wanted to meet, and I can't remember if it was from Manny's event or another event. I just was like, hey, uh, that's the bad thing about sometimes we get in these meetings. We're like, okay, but I usually do not. I do not like create a meeting unless I feel like, hey, there's something I want to learn about them, or like they resonate. If they don't resonate with me, I don't even do that. So that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I know we need to value our time. I'm reading a book, 168. Oh, where'd you go? And it's a real book. It's not on my phone, so I have to look for it. It's called The 168 Game with Bill Corman, and it's about owning your time.
Wow. Okay.
Really good book. My grandson and I are actually started reading it together, and then he had to go join the Navy and went to boot camp. So we'll have to pick it up when he gets done. But
so it's the 168 game, or was
yep,
it?
Yep.
Okay.
The 168 game.
I've got it saved, so I'll look at it afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do?
I do a lot.
Good.
But like I do many things, but like I what I would like to say the most I do, and like what I feel the most it's purpose is I am an inspirational speaker. I've got two stories of resiliency that are pretty powerful, and then because like with basketball, I help teach athletes mental performance. And so I taught myself how to do that. And I went, that's how I got to accomplish my dream is I was just really good at something, but I taught myself. And then I do AI and automation stuff. And that's kind of how to pay the bills. But also I'm in a very rare air with those people too, because I'm friends with people who beta tested ChatGPT and beta tested OpenAI. So,
nice.
And just let you know, like, there's only 100 people. There's only 100 people that beta test OpenAI stuff. So, definitely know I'm in rare air with that. And so, trying to fix my share. The So I can't remember like so my part of my story is the traumatic stuff I've been through. I was diagnosed with a blood cancer at 29.
Mm-hmm.
I was told I only had 15 years to live. I decided not to have a wife, family, all that stuff. And then in March of this year, I found out I was misdiagnosed. So,
wonderful.
yeah. So a couple of months ago, I really got the all clear. But like in March, I was just making these small steps and like elevating myself. And I also was dealing with another trauma. I was involved in a police shooting. I got caught up in the crossfire.
Ooh.
And I was an eighth of an inch from losing my life for an eighth of an inch. If the bullet would have went to the left, it would have got me. But when we went to the right, it would have got my little niece who was 3 years old at the time.
Oh, wow.
So the perfect situation happened, but unfortunately, I still had traumatic issues to deal with. I was dealing with survivor's guilt and PTSD. And so it's kind of just in a big funk. And then in March, uh, however spirituality you are, God, universe, he let me know. I mean, I was on this like death sentence, and I thought, hey, anytime I'm gonna pass away. And so I'm healthy. I've always been grateful. That's the other thing is I've always been grateful. I know other people had it work, had worse. So I always lived in that gratitude space. And I always moved. That's what I was going to say is like I always was moving. It might not have been a lot, but it was a little bit of movement.
Yep.
And so the misdiagnosis, could have been cleared up in a month. I just only have sleep apnea. That's it. Severe
Oh,
sleep
wow.
apnea. Right. And so I'm trying to catch up for all that lost time. And, the faster the better, but also I have to I have to focus on healing too. So that's the other thing. And
Right.
so um and I know you have a ton of books. I also know you like write and do that stuff. And like that's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm looking to write a book, looking to probably two or three, honestly.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, I've sat down with quite a few people already, but I just when I resonate with somebody, I'm like, hey, I want to see what's out there, see who resonates the best, and like I feel through prayer and meditation that like it gets worked out. And so
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me is financially is my finances are wrecked because of this. And I found out Friday, it's either Friday or last Friday, I can't remember. Um, it's actually pretty freeing, but I just found out, hey, a lawsuit's not going to bring me money. It's not going to bring any of this stuff back. So I don't know if I'm even going to pursue it. There's a part of me that wants the accountability to be like, hey, you should be accountable for your actions.
Right.
But honestly, I don't know if I really want to deal with it. I don't know if I just want to. The other thing is, I'll probably have to sign an NDA and all that shit, and I don't want to do that. I'll just be honest. I just want to be able to put my truth out. And the truth's the truth.
Right.
So you can't
Right.
really, So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I'm just trying to overcome these really bad situations, and it's kind of funny this week. Actually, abandonment kind of came up because I was abandoned by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on that. I'm working on that stuff. A couple weeks ago, angry and grief came up, and so so I'm working through it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is like I have a ton of opportunity. A lot of doors have opened up for me and stuff like that.
Good.
And um, I met Bill Walsh a few weeks ago, or actually a month ago, and Bill told me like, "Hey, dude, you should already have a book. Like, that's for notoriety and for authority." But he's like, you need like two or three. And he's like, I don't think you're gonna stop at two and three. He's like, I think you'll have multiple. But he's like, so I started writing, and he told me he was like, the biggest thing I would tell you to do, like right now, is to build a book cover. And so that's what I've done. I've got a book cover already. Um, and I don't have like a time to announce or anything like that. It's just more TBA, but it's just something to bring, that I'm working on it. So I'm gonna be quiet, let you just kind of see what resonates with you. And
Yeah. So what's your book about? The one that you're writing right now.
it's about 2024 right now. Um, it's got some of the stories from the past, like, but it really is more about this journey part.
Okay.
And honestly, I really don't know if I'll put the journey of 2024 in it. I think it's just gonna be a parts of it, and it's gonna have more of the backstory. And
Okay.
it's
And then that
I've
gets
already
it
have
ready
it
for the next book.
right, and so I really have been kind of in between which one I wanted to put out first. Like, do I want to put out 2024? Because everybody's experienced this comeback. It's called the bounce back season is the name of it. And it's because of the basketball, it's like that. So, um, and I'm not sure if I want to put a subtitle or any of that stuff. But I mean, I'm very open to like suggestions and all that stuff. I'm not like it's gonna be this way. It's got to be this way. I'm not. I'm
Okay.
really not.
Good. Because I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
do
I'm
that
just saying.
either. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know some publishers do that. They want it a certain way. And part of it is because they've been in the business a long time, they know what sells, but that doesn't mean that other stuff doesn't sell either, because it does. Um,
right,
so the things you need to figure out with a book is, one, you have to figure out who you're talking to. And I always give the chair example. Who's sitting in the chair? There's a chair right in front of you. Who's sitting in it? Who are you talking to every time you write the book? Who do you picture in your mind? And this is a person, you know how much money they make. You know if they don't make any money, if they're retired, if they're a bum, if they're not a bum, but they just, choose a life that they don't have to make money, whatever that part is. Is it a girl? Is it a boy? What color of hair do they have? Is it long? Is it short? Do they color it or leave it natural? Do they have family? Do they have siblings? Mom, dad? Are they, what's their ancestry? I mean, everything there is to know about this person better than you know yourself. You know their favorite foods. Now, the reason you do that, and this works whether you're writing a book, giving a speech, giving a talk, it helps you focus on one thing, one person. So that gives your story clarity. That gives your story the ability to really unveil itself, because you only have to tell it to one person. And does that mean that only that one person gets the story? No. But what you've done is now you have given the focus, the clarity, you've given them the story, but in a way that no matter who reads the book, they're going to get it because it flows. It makes sense. You're not trying to tell 100 people the same story 100 different ways. It's just one. The other thing you want to look at is, what is the reader going to get out of it? What is the purpose that you want someone to read the book? What are they going to take with them? And you already know your why. Why are you telling the story? One, you're telling it because someone told you to, but your why of why you're telling this particular story is going to really pull everything from you that you need to get the story told. So if you're telling the story to show you have authority in a subject, or just to get recognized, or using it as a business card, which is a great thing to do, all of those are good, but you really need to know, why am I writing this particular story? Out of all the stories I could write, what is it about this? So you've got the person you're writing to. You know what you want that person to take out of the book, and you know why you're writing the book. It's kind of like, what do they call it? The fire triangle. You've got 3 parts. You've got food, you've got air, and you've got heat. And so those are the things you're putting in there. The food is what the person is getting from it. The heat is what you're pouring into it. And the air is the person you're talking to. When you've got those things going, it's going to be really good. Now, if you've got the cover for it, that's great. You may write your book and realize, I want a different cover. So that's okay. So don't worry about things like that until your book is really done. Not ready, not printed done, but ready to go to the publisher or the printer. So that's the other thing. There is the printer, the one who actually prints the book, and the publisher is the one who helps you get your book out into the world, either on Amazon, Ingram's, Bart's, however you want to do it. Now, Amazon really is a printer, not a publisher. You are the publisher if you're going to do it yourself. If you go through me, I'm a hybrid publisher, vanity publisher. It's just, you either have self-publishing, traditional publishing, or the hybrid vanity publisher. There's nothing in between. Now, there are as many different publishers as there are personalities. So you have to go with somebody that you feel comfortable with, that you feel is going to let your book get where it needs to go. That they're not going to say, well, this is really good, but we like this better, and you've got a lot of stuff in here, we're going to rearrange things. That can get frustrating. I'm talking with a gentleman right now that I understand both sides of the story. I understand why the publisher doesn't want to give him 10 different versions of the cover, because that's expensive. Covers usually cost $400 a piece, and that's at the minimum, unless you're doing it yourself, and then that's a different story. But to have someone come in and do a cover is $400 a piece. So they don't want do 400 or 10 different covers. Now this person is a designer himself, so that's what he gives his customers, but it's different. So you have to look at what they're going to do for you. What's the publisher going to do for you? What are their promises? Do they promise to make you #1 bestseller on Amazon? Do they promise to help you with marketing after the book? And all of it costs money. If you're going to do marketing on top of publishing on Amazon, it's going to cost more because there's more that's poured into it. So it depends on what you want done. What do you want done with your book once you have it written?
I'll be honest, I really don't know.
Okay.
And I don't like so I'm one of those I'm like super honest and super transparent. I
I'm a
truly don't
WYSIWYG. What
know.
you see is what you get.
Yeah, I mean, so like authenticity is like my #1 characteristic, and then the second one's integrity, and then the next one's like justice, and the next one's like compassion. And so I just kind of roll with those things, but like I'm extremely transparent about things. And like if I don't know it, I don't know. And I'm also
Yeah.
like I'm going, yeah, as you know, like I just told you, I'm going through a lot. And I was told as I write this book, there's going to be a lot of healing and stuff like that. And
There
even
is.
just in the even just the little bit that I wrote is like been extremely healing.
Good.
I'm extremely close to her anyway. I was already extremely close to her, but after the shooting, we're even more extremely
Oh,
close.
yeah. Yeah.
And so
How is she
she,
doing with it all?
lucky for her, she doesn't recall a lot of it, but she doesn't talk about it. Now, she talked to me about it for the first year and a half, but after that,
Yeah.
she kind of let it alone. I'm kind of, uh, I'm kind of waiting on that day in school when she's like talking about, being shot at, or like she wasn't shot at, but she was in the crossfire of a gun.
Right.
And so, um, yeah, I don't know how that I'm going to react to that, and I don't know how I can tell you that she's a fearful kid, so like I assume that had something to do with it, and
Yeah, it's an unknown thing that all of a sudden happened and she didn't understand it at the time.
right,
She's
and
still
so
trying to figure it out.
right, so she's 6 right now, so I'm not really sure. I
Yeah,
know
just
I
give her
know when
some
I
time.
started. I know when I started kind of making it a little bit more public, I asked her and I said, "Hey, you know that thing that we went through? Is it okay?" And she said, "Yeah."
Cool.
And I was like, "Well, listen," I was like, "It could be very big, Oakley. Like, I need you to know, like, I just need you to know, like, I'm only doing this to help others." And I told my brother, and my brother's like, "Why'd you bring it up?" And I'm like, I needed her permission. She was there. It's just me and
Yeah.
her. Like,
Yeah,
and
because it doesn't just affect you.
right. And so I wanted her to be a part of it at some way of like, hey, I wanted her to be acknowledged that this is the reason why.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it is a slippery slope. Plus, it was a cop's bullet too. That's the other thing. I'm not uh anti-police. I'm not anti-gun. So there was an agenda where if I went to the media would have yelled it, and
Oh, yeah.
they and I was like, I don't want to be a part of it. Like so, uh, you know, attorneys wouldn't touch it. It was just like okay. So it was like as I was telling you about this abandonment issue, all this stuff was coming up. It's like all this stuff of just not being. It's not being enough. It's about like you know not feeling worthy or like
Yeah.
they don't care enough to do it. So
Yeah. If I don't, I matter. It matters
yeah,
to me.
right. And so I'm working through it. My mindset coach is a pretty big mindset coach,
Good.
and so she's she's taken a very personal touch to it, and it's helping me a lot. And I've only been working with her for about 2 weeks, but I manifested a relationship like 2 months ago. I
Oh,
saw a
okay.
video with her, so I'm starting to. There's a lot of things I'm starting to understand in this world that like I didn't know. So
Yeah, there's a lot out there we don't know.
so I keep seeing your award right here, the Kingdom Impact Award.
Yeah,
So tell me about it. So I'm just
sure.
curious. Like it
Um,
keeps drawing my attention. I mean, I'm sure
okay.
it's an extremely big award, and so like I
It's
just need to know.
huge.
Yeah.
So, uh, in December of 2021, I was watching a YouTube video. I put 3 books up on Amazon because my daughter said that I need to put the children's book on that I wrote for her 2 children. And I didn't want to. That was just for them. I really didn't think anybody would like it. She kept telling me no, they would. So I thought, well, I'll put these other books that I've written that I know people like and see what happens. And nothing happened. People told me they loved, especially the one book, they loved my story. They really loved it. My one neighbor said, "You have to write a second story and give me the backstory on it." And so I thought, like most people do, you put it on Amazon. At least you're going to sell a couple of books. None of my relatives even bought the book. Maybe it's because I let them read it. I don't know. But they wouldn't even buy the book. And it's like, oh, this is kind of frustrating. So as I said, I'm watching the YouTube videos and this ad comes on, which I usually never pay attention to them, that it was, are your books hearing crickets on Amazon? Have you tried to start businesses before and it just doesn't work? And so I'm kind of checking yes on all the boxes. And I thought, I've always wanted to know how to run a business successfully. And I do want to get my books on Amazon. So I joined I think it was an 8-week mastermind with Life on Fire. And it just opened up this whole world I didn't even know existed. Didn't know that I needed an editor for my book. I thought editors were for newspapers and magazines. Didn't know I needed great covers. Didn't know anything. And one of the things I had to do, which is actually what got me into podcasting, was I needed to do a mastermind, a webinar, or a summit. And I could understand a summit. I didn't understand the other two. So I had on a Friday night, I had 8 guest speakers over a 4-hour period, and I had more speakers than I needed to have. So I started on Monday, I started my first live video on Facebook, and then it just kept growing, and that's how I got to be podcasting. But I got that award because I did all the things, the steps that I was supposed to do in order to get it. And I thought, great, I've got this award. It's going to be wonderful. I'm and the other thing too is I'd signed up for the paid version of the class and went through it, and that's really where the award came through. And I thought everything's going to fall into place. I'm going to just start making money. At the end of 6 months, I am really going to be going strong. And I didn't. I got the award. I'm so proud of it. I did the videos and kept going, and that was it. So but it wasn't it. It's everything is a process. I didn't even know anybody who ran a business, let alone try to figure out how to do one on my own. I had a consumer mindset. One day I'm walking on the porch of the house we're in now, and we just got it last December. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I have got to get rid of my consumer mindset and put in a business mindset. So that's been an adjustment. So that award, even though it was definitely well earned, I worked hard for it, it has gone beyond the award. And it reminds me each day to just keep going, to keep improving, keep learning all I can, and keep going. And I've got, see, I'll move my chair this way. And I've got all those other awards.
Oh wow.
And so it's just, they're not there to show off, but they're there to remind me that I am victorious, that I can do what I set my mind out to do, and just to keep going forward. But
Right.
yeah, that one draws a lot of people's attention.
Well, that and also the word kingdom usually means something spiritual or with church, and
Yeah.
so like
Well, it
that's
was very faith-based. I'm faith-based.
yes, me too.
In fact, I did something because I just thought, Lord, what do you want me to do? And he says, I want you to write a letter and send it to everybody that joins in, because I have a gift for everybody that's on my podcast. And so I wrote the letter. And after I wrote it, I talked with another guest on a podcast who's also faith-based. When I got done, I have no idea why. She didn't know about the letter. I never mentioned it to her, but it's like this dread came over my head and over me. And it's like, don't do the letter. And so I've been struggling with that for a few days, and I've really been praying about it. And so this morning in my Bible study, God showed me passages that said, don't be afraid to do what I've told you to do. Don't be afraid to step out, even though you're scared, to just do it. And it's like, okay. But yeah, a lot of people see the kingdom, and I had no idea. I had no idea. I see kingdom on a lot of other things, and I just had no idea what an impact that makes. So I'm not
Right.
ashamed of the gospel. I include it in everything that I can.
Right.
I don't purposely set out to take my Bible and beat everybody over the head, but I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to be ashamed about it. That trophy there,
Yep.
first time I was ever in a speech competition, I got second place. And I talked about Peter and Jesus, but I tied it into um, entrepreneurship. And it was like, and someone came up to me afterwards, and, I didn't think anything about it, because it's just, God's so much a part of me. You can't separate us. But someone came up to me later and said, how did you think of doing that? What was the courage? And I said, well, I think God told me. He gave it to me. And she said, I've been trying to figure out how to talk to people about the Bible, and you just opened up a door. I never would have thought of doing it that way. And it was like, wow, that's interesting. But
Well, you have another faith-based entrepreneur here, so
awesome.
yeah.
I'm meeting
So
a lot of them.
yeah, so my basketball stuff actually it actually all that came because I was just being faithful. Uh,
Nice.
but it was I was on a mission trip, and all the like the agencies, all that stuff, they came about because of me being on that trip. So
Cool. I love how, when you look at things and you just see the hand of God and stuff, or sometimes you're just watching things fall into place and it's the hand of God. I mean,
right.
there's really
Well,
nothing that lights me up more than that.
right. So
It's just
it,
awesome.
so a friend of mine is head of an affiliate program for this new AI software.
Okay.
And there's a public valuation on that AI software of $1.4 billion.
Right.
So, and the guy who owns it is a Las Vegas casino owner. So there's money backing it. That's the other thing. Like
Right.
there's money there. And he's going to take it public in June. So he's trying to get that valuation. Well, he is paying $60 for every paid subscriber.
Okay.
And the subscription is only $15 a month. And so I just want to share that with you because like also there's a way to earn money off of the free users also. That's the other thing. So I feel like I'm sharing this because with you just to let you know, like, this is how I feel like everything's gonna be funded, because it came out of
Right.
nowhere. Everything was extremely not expected. I have no like I just see that like it's like be patient, because we've had a couple of hiccups, and it's like, oh man, I should already be here. And it's like, no, 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 just hang
No.
tight.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so a month ago, I was actually at my friend's house in Texas. I had never met him in person, and his friend, who is actually the person that introduced me to, so it was just I just knew him online. They were good people, great integrity people. But then when I actually got in proximity of them, it just was like, oh, like they're even better people in proximity than they are just online. So I just want to share that with you, because it was like I'm not a homebody, but like I'm fourth generation on this land in Kentucky. Like
Oh,
this is
wow.
truly home. Like I've never lived outside the state. But that's why I just thought I'd share that, because like I've been sharing it with more. I've been sharing it with people, but at the same time, like the people I really, really want to help or really, really support, I'm like I show them this. But I love to be able to help a fellow sister. That's what I was gonna say. Like it's a little different when it's like just friends are friends, but people who I know that are servants, like I want to give it to them first, so they'll be able to get the you know first go around, and
Yeah.
so but that the other thing I'll tell you is during the shooting, like it happened on my left hand side. I kind of ducked, and I kind of like I didn't close my eyes, but I blinked, right? And I saw this bright white light, and I was like, I never told anybody about it. I was just like, and then I was talking to somebody who, uh, very faith based, and we were talking, and they're like, "Did you see angels?" They asked me, because I mean, I'm driving 45 miles an hour down the road. There's all these like, you know, God winks in it, and a lot of other people will just, coincidences, whatever,
Yeah.
and like, and I truly feel like I was shielded that day. Um, And so I'm just sharing that with you. Like, I don't really share it very often. I've probably shared that maybe less than 100 times, just because it makes me like, I don't know how to share it, because I know some people it
Yeah.
turns off, some people it turns on. Like, it's just, so I just
Well,
want to let you know, like,
yeah. I was in a car accident. My daughter was driving, and I felt, I got squished with a seat belt, broke my sternum. And I felt my heart get squished and the blood
oh,
splurted out of it. And everything I saw when my eyes were open were all, it's like someone took all the colors and it was just swirling down a drain and all the white that was behind it. And I said, and I don't know if I said it out loud or not, but I said, I can't go and leave my daughter thinking that she killed me. He says, I can't do that to her. And so it was kind of a talk, I guess. Um, but anyways, yeah, well, I'm saying this and I only say it like a couple of times, it's like, well, you can't, don't take me now because I don't want her living with this the rest of her life.
right.
And I felt my heart go back. I felt the blood go back in it and I felt it be stitched up and I could open my eyes without it hurting from the white light. So saying you saw that white, I get it.
Wow. Yeah,
I, yeah.
that's amazing. Like, I felt compelled to tell you that, and then you had a story. That's amazing. How,
Yeah. And we've got the Holy Spirit. It connects us all. It knows
right.
when it's safe and when it's not. And the reason you have it on the anniversary is not to remember it, but to honor your life and your niece's life by helping others, because I think that's what you want your book to do. You want it to help others. I'm not sure how you want it to help them, but there's something in it that's going to help other people.
Yeah, so that's kind of my purpose, is to help others. And like I mean, I really have two anniversaries. I have the misdiagnosis on the March 8th,
Right?
and then I have May 16th, which is the shooting. I really I haven't thought about that. I haven't really thought of it as marketing. The what I was going to tell you too was I'm just starting to be okay with this, but I'm also starting to be okay with like being an influencer. So I don't like the word influencer. I like the word inspirer a
There
lot
you go.
better.
Oh, that's okay.
So I'm just starting to get okay with it. And so my process of healing and all that has been, because I'll go and tell you, like I go put those stories out on TikTok, I'm gonna get a million views. Like
Yeah.
at some point, I'm gonna be at a million views. And so the my mindset coach, she's like I said, she's been on Netflix. Her niece is like the highest paid college athlete right now.
Wow.
And, she's a gymnast. I mean, she was on cover of Sports Illustrated, and like she helped her niece get there. And so I just talked to her, and I'm like, I don't want to just go straight up and poof, right? Like I
Right.
want to go straight up and still keep going up.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, to fuel a rocket ship, you still have to fuel it. You still have to prepare it. And so I'm just in the preparation stage.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and like I told you, the anger, the grief that came up, the abandonment that came up this week, which it really just came up a couple of hours ago. It's just like, I mean, it revealed itself, but it also like it was revealing itself all week. I just didn't acknowledge it. And it
Can
was
I
about
give
an
you a
hour ago.
suggestion? When something comes up,
You know,
find a Bible verse that's the opposite. Like if you're feeling abandonment, find the Bible verse where Jesus says that you're his own, where God says you are my own, you're not abandoned, you're my child. Um, it helps a lot of people, talk with your therapist, whoever you're talking with, make sure that's okay with them, because I don't want to step on any toes.
so I was gonna let you know. I pretty much have like I don't do Western medicine anymore. Talk therapy is kind of like I have
Yeah.
a friend of mine who's a master hypnotist. I worked with him
Cool.
one session. I'll share this. Like, so I did a recording and my confidence changed. Um, I'm usually, this is me set, like this chair slouches. So it's like, um, but my posture changed. I learned how to walk on my toes. Like I walked on my toes for all my entire life. I do not walk on my toes anymore.
Oh,
So there's
wow.
all these things that like, and then when I told my mom when she woke up the next morning, she told me that she felt like she had her son back,
Wow.
and that's off a recording. And then when 2 days later, when I met with him, we actually, the traumas. I can talk about them, and I don't get upset. So I
Nice.
mean, and so here's the other thing is like God puts these people in our place, like in cross paths, like so. And I
Yeah.
know I had somebody who was like, I can't believe you did hypnosis, like you're a Christian, and I'm like, dude, like, do you think that thousands and thousands of years ago that wasn't medicine? Like, there's
Well,
certain things that are like a little bit where people just don't, if they
yeah.
don't know or they don't understand, then it's demonic, or it's like it's not demonic at all. Like they talk about it in the Bible all the time.
Right. And I think the one thing that is a warning about hypnosis is, one, you're giving your mind over to somebody else. And God warns us about that. But you've had a horrific trauma happen to you. And it's not going to go away on its own. So if you can find a way that is going to work for you, and God's going to protect you, you're his child. It's not like you're just saying, oh, I don't care what God says. I'm just going to go do this because it's something I want to do. You're finding a way to heal. So you have to make it right in your heart with God, no matter what anybody else says, because everybody's going to have an opinion. But that's between you and God. And you can say,
Right.
thank you. I appreciate your concern. I really do. But this is what the way God wanted me to heal.
Right. And so I just was letting you know, like that's kind of this has been a journey, and I'm a journey person. Like so, I realize I'm on a marathon, and I'm like on mile two. Like I'm not overexerting
That's a great way
myself.
to put it.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm like I know, and then I met you this weekend, right? On the is that when we met?
Yeah, on Manny's thing, I think it was.
Oh no, you're right, Mandy's thing.
Yeah,
So I went to
yeah.
so I went to another big event this weekend, and I
Okay.
met with this coach. And so she told me what she felt like was my final product, or like my finished product, not final, my finished product.
Yeah.
And she compared me to somebody who, was a New York Times bestseller a couple of times and like uh
Awesome.
a podcaster. And she was like, you have a powerful, powerful story. She's like, you still are clueless right now of what the type of impact you're going to have. She's like, I can foresee it. Like I can see it. She goes,
Wow.
she called me charismatic, and I'm like, the first thing I was like, I'm not really charismatic. Like, and then I was talking to some people, and they're like, Dwayne, you're very charismatic. Like, you're very welcoming. And I was like,
There you
okay,
go. There's your affirmations, your
right.
confirmations,
So
your
it's the
confirmation.
confirmation. Yes, it's the confirmations of it. And
Yeah.
like I told you, I'm just getting okay with it. Like, um, it's funny. I'm wearing this like Superman shirt, right? But that's really how I felt. Was like I'm Clark Kent. I rip the shirt open, fly around, save the city, come back. I'm Clark Kent, and I would always want to be Clark Kent.
Right.
And now I realize, hey, I can be. I'm still Superman if I'm Clark Kent.
Yeah.
He just not wearing a cape,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and that's once that switch turned, it was like I'm not changing. I'm not changing, and that was the whole thing. It was like, wow, that was
Remember
the
too
epiphany.
that God equips those he calls. He doesn't call the equipped. They might be equipped in some things, but when he calls somebody, he's going to make sure you've got everything you need, even if it's competence.
Right. So that was the
Yeah.
other thing too, is like I knew that, but I also knew I had these gifts, and I didn't want to be a speaker. That's what I was going to tell you. Is like I did not want it. I
Yeah.
spoke I spoke in front of 5,000 people at 19, and like people were like always like, "You'd be such a great speaker." Now I didn't, and when I say I didn't want to be. I was doing like I went to a Bible college. I went to like I went on 50 interviews to be a youth minister. Okay.
Wow.
And I was declined every single time. So it was
Really?
like, okay, I don't need to be doing this now. And so my calling was to be obedient. And so
Hmm.
it was just like, okay, like, and I don't want to be, I never felt led to be a pastor. That's the other thing. I never felt led to be like a leadership over a church. See, I live in the Bible Belt. Like I live smack dab in Kentucky. That was smack dab in the middle of the Bible Belt. There's
Yeah.
more churches here than anywhere else. I mean, that's like the business.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, y'all don't want me, but yet, I have these, and honestly, that's been one of the extreme, extreme parts of the story of is like, okay, y'all don't really want me, but like everybody else are nationally wants me or globally, like so. I
So
don't.
maybe
We're just
that's where your
not
church is.
right, and so that's what
The
I was gonna
church
say.
is
It
the
was like
people.
right, And so that's the thing is like I'm just starting to come comfortable with it all
Yeah.
again, coming back. And it truly is a full circle moment. Like I was doing this at 19, like a friend of mine, he just got accepted into the John Maxwell group.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and he was like, "Oh, this is like a really great big deal." I was like, dude, I could have met John Maxwell at 19 and could have hung out with him, had lunch. He's like, "Why didn't you?" I was like, it just didn't materialize. But I was just telling him like I've always had a huge respect, but I'm just letting you know like I could have had that back then, and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
It
It
just
wasn't the
didn't
time.
right the timing. But it was just like he was making such a big deal of this guy, and I was like, yeah, man, I could have done this. Like he couldn't believe it. He was like he couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, I was like, dude, I know a lot of people that are high in the church. And then so the other thing is Dr. Tony Evans.
Hmm.
So I went and saw him preach in Dallas when I was
Oh, wow.
19. And he preached the same sermon that I preached 2 weeks prior. The same exact one.
Wow.
Because it was about, it's funny saying this now because it's about rebounding and being resilient and catching a ball, picking it up, shooting, miss, pick it up until you put it in a basket. And I was just like, and
It's
somewhere
like,
in my
dude,
house,
did you steal my speech?
I mean, it's pretty much same verses, everything. Here's the other
Wow.
crazy thing about it. Somewhere in this house, I have that program and I had him sign it.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And sir, I preached a sermon 2 weeks ago. And he said, I will pray for you. And he is like, I'm gonna pray for your impact.
Awesome.
And now we're talking about this full circle moment, and maybe I had to go the very, very long route to get here, but like,
Yeah, because you never know what God needs to prepare you for. And maybe because you didn't do that, this has been your preparation time. And now you're ready. Now he says, okay, I can open the door for you. So that's pretty awesome.
yeah. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Is like I'm just trying. I mean, I hate the word trying. I'm attempting to get this all figured out, and I also I'm in the season of allow and not how. So like when people
Yeah,
ask me how I'm doing stuff, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it is true. I'm
it
being
is.
transparent,
It's
but I'm
like,
not
oh,
planning
I
it
just
out.
let God do it.
Right. So I'm not planning it out. I'm just saying, hey, if this opportunity comes by, then I'm gonna allow it. So I don't know. I've gotten like in the last week, 2 weeks, I've gotten like 5 podcasts that want me on, and I have like I think 9 out of the 2 weeks that said have reached out and have like tried to get some type of conversation about it.
Wow, that's so cool.
So thank you so much. Let's definitely talk again, and
Oh,
you
good.
have a
Good.
blessed, blessed day. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, Ellis Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine and join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day. Always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.